Hey, what's up, you wrestling fanatics and friends? You're listening to the True Wrestling Podcast, episode 71. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I had a conversation with Nathan Lautar, coach of the number one high school in the country, Malvern Prep Friars. Nathan is fresh off Malvern's best performance at National Preps, or the Prep Open. He talks about his team, the club, and the culture at Malvern. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Adidas Wrestling. You can check them out at adidaswrestling.com. You can follow me on Twitter at TrueWrestler1, and you can follow Malvern on Twitter at MP Wrestling, WRASTLING. Now, without further ado, here's the conversation with Coach. Here with the coach of the number one ranked Malvern Prep wrestling team, Nathan Lautar. How does that sound?
Pretty awesome. It's kind of a dream that came true. That's what it sounds like.
It's been a couple days since the Prep Open. You guys had a heck of a showing. Tell me a little bit about what's gone through your mind since then.
It's still, it's still trying to kick in a little bit. The kids really showed up. I mean, we've had a lot of ups and downs throughout this past, pandemic. We didn't have our freestyle season. A lot of the season got shut down. There wasn't a lot to do. And really, these kids made the best of every opportunity we put in front of them. With COVID, with, no season, not a lot of tournaments, struggling to keep their passion for it over 9 months is a hard thing to do. It was a struggle at times to keep them into it, keep their drive. Is there going to be something at the end? What's that big, final tournament? Is it going to happen? And, we took a break after Powerade and after all that, when we did have a season, and then to try and get them back up in their mindset to get ready back for this big tournament was a little bit of a struggle, but man, were they ever ready. I mean, it was pretty impressive of what everybody on that team did.
Now, you took a little break before the championships, and it's also the championships changed a little bit, right? So the time changed, the name changed, there weren't any, quote, teams, it was all states. Can you give us some background into, how much lead time you had to know all that?
Yeah, the reasoning that they changed it was, one, to make sure that we had a tournament to allow every kid from every national prep school to be able to enter whether their school supported it or not. That's why you only saw states, because a lot of schools refused to allow kids to come. So they didn't want to put individual schools because then there'd be kids with no school listed. So that's why they did it by states. I think going by the state was great. I would have liked to have seen the team scores. Obviously, I think everybody would have liked to have seen the team score. It did allow what the tournament did allow, which I think is, there's good and bad. Good, you had 450 registered kids compared to a normal year. You only get one kid per weight class. This year, you were able to enter 2, 3, 4 kids per weight class. So you saw teams that you would never see there have kids that maybe would not have qualified to get an opportunity to be there. And, teams like Seminary, like us, like Blair could enter 2, 3 kids when you have 2 or 3 studs at a weight class.
Now, that was probably my favorite thing that I saw. Is that something that they're going to do going forward, or is it not decided?
I mean, I think it was because of the year that we were in. We didn't have qualifiers. I mean, the reason they waited until May is because some of the schools didn't have their seasons until March and April. They wanted to wait and see what regulations opened up to guarantee the ability for everybody to come to this tournament.
Gotcha. Now, today, the Oracle himself, Willie Saylor, just put you guys as the number one high school team in the country. Does it feel any different?
I mean, it hasn't really kicked in yet. These kids are great. I mean, to be ranked number one in the country is great. It also puts a target on our back. We don't lose anyone. We do. Don't get me wrong. We do lose some seniors, but I'm saying our 6 national prep champs, none of them are graduating. We had 12 All-Americans. One of them is graduating. So we're returning our full roster next year. Plus, we have some great kids and families coming in. Being number one is great. I mean, it's something that I didn't think was ever going to be possible. I mean, we're a small school with kids that have to be within our boundaries. You know, they have bought in, have been with us since they were little kids. We're not a boarding school. We don't have scholarships. So these are really parents that are making a lot of sacrifices to make this happen. And it's taken a huge effort by everybody, you know, surrounding ourselves with great coaches, with great families, great people, a great youth club with great people that help me run that club, a great history and alumni base and families that help build that foundation to get where we are today. And I think today basically put us on the map of, you know, a culmination of everything put together.
Gotcha. I'd like to run through kind of the guys who All-Americaned and then maybe talk about some of the kids who were in the blood round, that kind of thing, but also keep it moving along and just kind of go by weight class. Freshman Jack Consiglio, he went through the tournament, gave up 1 point. Can you tell me a little bit about Jack?
Yeah, he's a hard worker, man. He's been with us for a long time. You know, in the beginning of the year, we weren't sure if he was going to go down to 106. You know, we thought he'd probably stay up at 12, 13, but didn't know where he was going to go. Ended up making the decision to go down for Powerade, go down for the big tournament national preps. And, you know, he works his tail off. He worked all off season. He worked with Danny Moran a lot in the off season, who used to come to my club. I know he's a Beckett or Northampton kid, went through Weaver Elite, he's at Lehigh now. So Jack worked hard with him as an outside coach with some of the other guys. He put a lot of effort in, and I think it showed.
Going up to 113, Tommy Link came in as the 1 seed, finished 4th. Tell me a little bit about Tommy.
Tommy's a grinder. Had a good season. You know, he's improving from, you know, he's right where around where he was last year. He did well. You know, I think he knows, and I know we want to work on some things. He always is trying to get better. He's tough. He's physical. And he's just a good kid, and he knows what he wants to do, and he's going to go out there and try and execute it, and will continue to get better and better.
Now, the thing I noticed about Tommy is it looked like he made weight because his hair looked a lot better than it did last year.
Yeah, he didn't have a problem this year. I mean, that was one thing I don't think he struggled with at all this year compared to last year. You know, he's a great kid.
If you want to continue listening to this interview, switch over to rockfin.com, ROKFIN.com /True Wrestling.